Sweet. All right. Welcome, everybody. Hey, just wanted to let you know, whenever folks have been talking about data applications or anything typically related to big data, there's the 3 V's to always consider. That's, your volume, velocity, variety. And then nowadays, they've even expanded that to be 5 items, 5 V's. So now they've added veracity, which is kind of like the quality, and then the value of the data. So those last two there are pretty much, that's probably going to be more geared towards your data scientists and the users of the ultimate data. But so to address these kind of issues, though, the 3 V's, many applications have kind of evolved into a reactive or event-based driven architecture. So splitting these applications out into independent scalable services, adhering to the tenets of the 12-factor application. Additionally, the services are incorporating things like, incredible infrastructure technologies that have been coming out and, risen to the challenge. But they also do introduce a lot of complexities for developers and operators alike. So with today's guest, we're hoping to navigate some of these challenges that people run into, and I'm hoping to get a great deal of value from this session. So with that, I'd like to welcome you all to the April 2022 session of the St. Louis Go Meetup. So my name's Paul Baylog, and I'm joined on the steering committee by Michael Madden and Brandon Hunter, which I'm sure they're probably somewhere out there in the web sphere. Not to confuse names there, not web sphere.
Right.
Anyway, been there, done that.
On that one. Yeah, I know, right?
Been there, done that. But yeah, so before we begin, I just want to give a special thanks to our sponsors, GoBridge, for covering the meetup fees. Again, along with GoBridge, our goal is to really kind of build bridges and help educate and foster diversity in the Golang community. And as such, please be aware, we are adhering to the code of conduct established by the foundation. So in short, just be excellent to one another. So with that, hopefully everyone has their adult beverage for tonight. I'll be drinking Lone Star beers tonight. That is my choice. But anyway, I've always been somewhat of a messaging geek. And so I've been really kind of looking forward to this talk. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Devaris Brown. I keep getting everybody's names messed up. I don't know. It's every time.
Too much. So. It's not a real good advertisement for Lone Star right now. Lone Star. It'll help you mess up everybody's name.
Exactly. And this is only my first one, so I can't blame that. So
it's all good. It's all good, man.
All right, let me go ahead and switch things up here. And I was not even showing my sweet slides, was I?
Nah, you weren't. But
yeah, I worked so hard on those too. See, look at that.
Oh,
I got the gopher with the popcorn ready to go. So all right, Devaris, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one, and I will let you go ahead and you want to share your screen and you can get this puppy started.
Yeah, let me, here we go. All right, let me know.
All right, there you go.
Cool. Well, hey, Paul.
Yeah, and actually, if I could, one real quick housekeeping thing too. Anybody, if you have questions that you want to ask, feel free to please put them into the chat. That can be through Twitch or YouTube chat, and then it'll come on here, and I can bring your questions to the screen at appropriate times, and then hopefully Devaris can go ahead and answer those. So yeah, please, Paul, make it interactive.
Yeah, if you catch a question, because I'm only on one screen, if you catch a question, feel free to interrupt me. Cool. So that way I can answer that, right?
Will do.
But no, really do appreciate it. Hopefully the members of the STL Go community, they're gonna find some stuff pretty interesting here. So yeah, really do appreciate you giving me the opportunity to show what we released last week.
Yeah. This is exciting, and I'm not going to hold it against you that I know that there was already we're not the first opening act on this. I know you did the Jacksonville Go group last week.
Yeah. Day of, when things were still kind of in flux. So I was just like, yo, I'm so glad that I've been a decent performer, but just pay homage to the demo gods real quick.
Yeah,
Hopefully they're kind and benevolent.
exactly.
But
Exactly.
we'll
I'll
see how
I'll
this
I'll burn
goes.
some incense. We should be good. So,
All right, all right. Well, appreciate the time. This talk is called "Putting the App in Data App," and I'm Devaris, CEO, co-founder of Moroxa. Here's what we're going to cover today, right? Talk about who am I, why I'm actually qualified to talk about this problem and solve this problem. What is Moroxa? Try not to make it as much of a commercial as possible. The current state of data development, and then we're going to introduce Turbine and do a demo, talk about what's next, and there's some allotted time for Q&A. But honestly, like I said, if you want to ask questions, please feel free to put them in the private chat. Paula interrupt me because I'm not on my fancy setup. I'm in a hotel in DC on a single screen, so I'm gonna be popping through. So give us a little bit of patience and grace, but everything should be a-okay.
awesome.
Cool. So who am I? I started off my career as I guess would be called an SRE or something like that at Microsoft. I was a software engineer on the infrastructure side for Windows Azure. I was a product leader at Twitter, Heroku, Zendesk, and Visual Supply Company. And really, what I realized was that, look, what do all these places have in common? It's different companies, but same project. Everywhere I went, I was building a developer platform or a data platform, right? And so, it just got to the point where it's kind of like, why do I keep recreating the wheel? And so, essentially, what I ended up doing was crewing up with my co-founder Ali, and we were constantly paired up on these like customer success visits while we were at Heroku, and they literally would say something like, "Yo, this is dope that we can, spin up or tear down a web application super easily, but we really need to figure out like where's the Heroku for data development." And so what Moroxa is it's a code first data platform that enables engineers to build data products using your existing developer workflow. We are hiring Go devs. We are remote first. And even more importantly, our pay is not deducted depending on where you live. Everybody makes, Silicon Valley equivalent salary. So imagine what you can do with that in St. Louis, right? That's like the the advertisement to go to moroxa.com/about. So yeah, we're everywhere. So let's talk about the current state of data development, right? And this is the quote unquote modern data stack, and essentially, there's a ton of providers. There's a ton of jobs that you have to do, right? And not everything one of these has different configuration profiles and operating complexities. I mean, hell, some of these are just written in different languages. And if you think about the standard stack, you probably got between 6 and 10 tools that you use, and you have to go back and forth between different dashboards, different CLIs, all of that type of stuff, right? And it's like your head is exploding, like the emoji here. And then if I'm an engineer, that has an idea, and then I basically need to say, all right, well, cool. I need to go talk to a data engineer to get this stuff done. And then basically we do the song and dance around requirements. We do talk about what is actually needed. We do some testing back and forth. Whole bunch of time expires in between that. So anywhere from, depending on how serious the ask is, like a couple of hours to a few weeks, even months on end, depending on how complex the ask is. Then we finally get to deploy something to the cloud, right? But then, DevOps is like, hold up, wait up. This thing is, bringing whatever services down, or you're doing too much volume, and our SLAs are all over the place. And then you have to go right back again and start doing this whole song and dance until you kind of triangulate where you're going to get it, right? And so the real big issue is that there's a lot of pain that's involved with a lot of this process, right? And so the status quo, the issues are kind of software engineers and data engineers are siloed off. In the software engineering land, we have all these paradigms around agile and fast iteration cycles and things like that. But when I need to go, basically go talk to a data engineering team, it's like very waterfally, right? And it doesn't, it's not unique. When I was at Heroku, there were a ton of companies that, left the Heroku platform on the web app side, but like their data was still stuck on, on Heroku's like Postgres or Kafka offerings and things like that because people just didn't want to touch their data, which is kind of antithetical to me because at the end of the day, um, there's millions of copies at I shouldn't say millions. There's a bunch of different copies of bad data around the organization, whether it sits in somebody's departmental database, whether it sits in Excel or Google Sheets, all these types of things depend on like various degraded copies of this data, right? And so it's like if you want to keep it pristine, you probably wouldn't want to do this. The other part is too, which is kind of odd, is like a lot of your testing is done in prod. And if it's not, then you basically have these two very, very, very expensive environments to run data through, right? And like now you got to maintain backups and all that type of stuff, right? And so really your solution is dependent upon the availability of the infrastructure and the expertise of the people running that infrastructure, right? So I need to go call Jim the Kafka guy, or I need to go talk to Jane the ingest person, all right? Like there's all these different point products that you use to make up that data stack that you can use, but if there's an issue, everything is all kind of siloed off based off of expertise. And that's pretty bad. So what we did was we built this code first SDK called Turbine. It's in 3 languages, JavaScript, Python, and the reason why I'm here is today it's in Golang. And so there's no YAML hell, right? There's no weird DSLs that whatever, it's just one of those things where it's like, if you can add a library, if you can declare a method off of an object, right? Literally you can build these powerful data applications. It's just regular ass code with your regular ass dev workflow. You can check it in, you can run, if I want to check the output of a function, what do I do in regular code land? I just write a unit test, right? Seems pretty easy. I can test it on my local machine. I can write a whole bunch of unit tests. If I want to see what the impact of my test would be on my production infrastructure, guess what? I run an integration test or an acceptance test, right? Like I don't need to go spin up another piece of infrastructure that's going to create yet another point of failure just to tell me if the output from something is going to be what is expected, right? Like it's just code that I can check, I can review, I can version, all that type of stuff, right? And like that's the power of what Turbine is. So that's like my spiel before I get into the demo. But were there any like questions out there, or no?
I'm just kind of curious where my YAML went.
Oh man, that's the biggest. For me, that is the biggest finesse of the DevOps infrastructure world, right? It's like you force people to care about how their apps are deployed instead of just deploying them, or how they're managed, right? And how they're scaled. And for anybody that that loves to do that stuff, we are hiring DevOps engineers because we run all on Kubernetes. But at the end of the day, for me, it's like, am I getting paid to, and this is the whole reason why we built Moroxa is that, and Turbine, am I getting paid to be the world's best Kafka config person? Absolutely not. I'm, at, Anheuser-Busch trying to do demand planning in real-time supply chain. See, I threw the St. Louis in there. I guess it would be InBev now, but yeah. But like, that's what I'm getting paid for. Like my job is to bring business value and not really to kind of struggle on the like implementation details. And so we've had people do amazing things with Turbine so far, which is, data apps. What people can do is just build these real-time analytics dashboard that have compliance functions in between. And I'll show you what that means in a second. People have migrated, petabytes of legacy on-prem data warehouses to cloud-native options. We work with some of the Department of Defense to transform their legacy and proprietary data from sensors on aircraft into more digestible, readable format so they can report on aircraft health in real time. We can do real-time search indexing, and just so much more than what the status quo is calling a data app, right? Like if I say data app to 10 engineers, immediately they think, kind of analytics dashboards, right? Which in itself is a data app, but a data app is a contained application that uses data to answer a question, right? And that's really what it is. If I think about an app on my phone, I want to go to weather app. I want to know how, what the weather's going to be like in DC. I mean, or St. Louis, right? Like I go to the weather app. If I want to know how the Twitter stock is doing, I go to the Twitter app, right? Like I'm asking a question and I need to go to a specific defined place to get that information. And for me, the visualization needs to be decoupled from that, right? Because the presentation can be anything at that point.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So it's time to get to the code, man. Like I hate talking about this stuff, but let me hide. So let me stop this, and then let me share my full screen,
okay.
And then we can get into it. All right, sir.
Oops.
Oh,
that's not the one.
Yeah, that was the one. But
there we go.
Yeah. But that's everybody. Let me go to CLI and let me make that bigger. Is it just
there
this?
We go. Yep.
All right, cool. And let me make this bigger so everybody can see.
There we go.
All right. So I'm gonna be going back and forth between CLI and IDE and like all that type of stuff. But really what the purpose of this demo is to show how easy it is to build a data app. And what we're gonna do, I think the kids call it a Kappa architecture. So we're basically gonna be sending some anonymized data over to Redshift, and then we are going to send some compliant data, like a stream of data over into a data lake, which is going to be on S3. And so just so y'all can see, I have nothing behind the screens. Essentially, I didn't make anything ahead of time. I'm just going to be doing this all as we go.
All live.
All live. So demo gods, please be benevolent. So the one thing that we do have inside of Maraxa is the notion of a resource catalog. And essentially what this is just credentials, right? Credentials that, basically we go out and inspect. Actually, I'll say that for the demo. But this is essentially what I'm going to do. So all I have is a data lake. As you can see, it's an S3. I'm going to be connecting to my Postgres at first and pulling data out of there. And then I'm going to be piping that to Redshift and S3. So
were you sharing something? It's not on screen.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
so weird.
We lost it.
All right, here we go. I got to be careful because can you see it now? All right, cool. So this is what I was sharing. So this is my my resource catalog.
Okay,
so,
the registry. Okay.
Yep. So all you see is just used by 0 applications. I don't have anything there. And if I do a Maraxa apps list, you can see I don't have anything going. Or if I do a Maraxa connectors list, nothing there. And Maraxa functions list, nothing there. What if I do a Maraxa resources list? You'll see everything that I have inside of my thing. So this is the cool part. Maraxa gives you a few different ways to kind of build your universe. One of it is CLI. The other one is Turbine the code. We have a Terraform client as well. And then obviously the dashboard. So, all right. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to initialize a new app, and I'm just going to call it POS Kappa, and I'm just going to do it in --lang and Go. All right, cool. And so, this because this is annoying. Go back to my CLI. And then now I'm going to CD into there. All right. So the very first thing I need to do is I'm going to do a go mod init. Same thing. I'm just going to do a go mod tidy. All right, just because I don't have it in my Go path, this is the stuff that I have to do. Just regular kind of Go standard practice, and I'm just going to do a go mod vendor just so I can get the vendor file. All right, cool. So what Moroxa does initially is that we give you the ability to test this infrastructure out. Basically test your stream out, on your local machine without having to spin up any Docker containers or anything like that. And so, actually, let me show you what the application looks like so you can see this. This is a typical file tree structure, but we give you an app.json, and essentially we specify some fixture demo, right? And so inside of, we specify fixtures file. So inside of here, we have two files. One of them is basically a fixture for a change data capture payload. And then another one is like non-change data capture payload. So it's very, very specific as to the type of data that we're going to get. And then inside of here, we basically give you an app template, right? Standard look and go file. Essentially, we just, these are the dependencies that we give you. The main actually runs an instance of app. All you basically have to do is follow this kind of interface, but literally it's just code, right? And so what I walked through before essentially is that we're just going to be testing out the fixtures data. But if I do the code that is doing is basically pulling from the resource a source name, which we can go see in demo CDC. It's just source name inside of here somewhere. And this is just the payload, right? Just regular JSON.
Mm-hmm.
And if I look at this, basically what's happening is that I'm going out and connecting to whatever the source is. I'm going to read a collection. I'm going to store that collection, the records, into a variable called RR. And then I'm going to process that stream, of that collection stream, with a function called anonymize. And so if you implement this type of interface, all right, basically what happens when we build the Go app, we are reflecting out this function, and we're basically creating a DAG underneath the hood for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we're basically attaching kind of the inputs and outputs of, we're grabbing it from the source, and then we're wiring up the function, and then we're basically putting it out into the destination as you see fit. So this thing is basically just looking through that CDC function and saying like, just give me the customer email. And once I get that customer email, I want you to call this consistent hash function. So notice I didn't implement this interface, but this is just a private function. And, when I built the app, it won't get reflected out. So there's no DAG to build at this point, but essentially it's just calling this function. And then it's returning a consistent hash back into, actually, I know this is going to mess up anyway, so let me get rid of that. This is basically saying like, all right, well, we're just going to store that into this result. And then basically what we want to do is put the result into whatever collection that we have at our destination. So if you look at the CDC, and if I look at the CDC JSON field, and I look at the, let's see, where are we at? There's a JSON at Devars. Yeah, if I look at it, it's customer email. You see it's just a regular old email, userc@example.com. But if I run this, right, customer email should return a consistent hash. And so let's go ahead and see what that looks like. So this is Moroxa apps run. And if I look at the output, I should see a consistent hash. So notice I didn't run Kafka Connect, Debezium, any of that behind the scenes, right? It's just basically if your people are interested in participating in open source, we have a project called Conduit that we use, but basically what it does is it uses gRPC to gRPC, and it does a buffer stream behind the scenes. So we can simulate this without having to spin up any other infrastructure, and it just works, right? So now that I'm like, okay, well, I know that this can kind of work. Let's actually get some real data in here. And so to do that, I need to do a couple things. Let me go back to my Visual Studio. So first, let me change my fixture data, app.json. And I know this is going to be Postgres, so PGDB. That's going to be my source. And I basically, like, I know that the Postgres database is not going to look, there's no CDC in it. So it's going to change a few things for me. And just so you know that I'm not doing anything weird and wacky, all that is in the Postgres database is just ID and email, right? So I'm just pulling in this information. And so let me go back to the code. And I need to change my fixture to no CDC. And this does not need to be email. This needs to be, sorry, I forgot the replace. I'm just going to take customer email, and I'm going to change it to email. And then I'm gonna replace all. Cool. And then let me save that. Let's get rid of that. And then I need to change some resources. So the first thing I'm going to do is basically I want to send this over to Redshift. So I'm going to connect to my Postgres database. So this is just PGDB. And then the collection name that I need to run is basically collection name is just my table name. So it's just Turbine demo, which also reminds me I need to change that here. This is Turbine demo. Bind as demo. Cool. And basically, when I do this v.resources of PGDB as a value, essentially what it's doing is that it's going out, inspecting it, creating the connection to it, understanding like, hey, what capabilities do I have, right? Like, what security permissions do I have? Can I do logical replication? Am I supposed to do polling? All of that type of stuff, right? Like, we basically figure this out for you. So the resulting stream is just like the result is just a real-time stream of data that's pulling through. And you don't really have to worry about that. So the next thing that I need to do is basically, I think it was Redshift demo. Redshift demo. And basically what I want to do is I want to send in, I want to create a table. So what'll happen is like once we connect to Redshift, essentially if the table doesn't exist, it'll create one for us. So I'll just do STL rs-anon. Okay. All right. So the other thing that I need to do is basically say I need to get the payload email here, and same thing here. And I believe I should be good to go. So let's test it, see what it looks like. So Maraxa apps run. Let's see if it actually worked. Yep, cool. I get that. All right. So now I'm just gonna add the stuff to Git. So all this is, again, this is just my typical Git workflow. Git commits, first commit Redshift, cool. And I'm just gonna do a Maraxa apps deploy. All right, building this. Got the source. Cool. Building a process image. So we're using the local Docker instance to run and build this stuff. And application is now deployed. So I can go look at this on my dashboard. And as you see, we are basically wiring up all of these things. Remember, I said it creates that DAG and reflects the function out and all that type of stuff. And we should be good to go. All right, so let me pull up my table plus, which is just my database thing. And sorry, I can't like make this bigger, but this is just one of those things. So let me just add 66 and 67 in there so you can see this. There are almost 40 things in
39
there.
records.
39 records, all right? Cool. So what it does, it basically it takes the initial snapshot. We grab all of those records. We pour that into actually, I think you can see it. Let me do a Maroxa functions list. Cool. So let me do a Maroxa functions log. I think I can do this. See? Cool. Yeah. So you see all of the information going through. All right. Demo gods, please be kind. Let us see. Redshift dev. And let's, it takes a second. Oh, here we go. STL Redshift anonymous. And we can run some select star from STL dash Redshift dash anon order by ID ascend, right? I think that's how I write it. Oh, is it making me do public dot?
Oh.
Yeah, there we go.
No.
Oh, sorry. Run current. Cool. So what do we have? 39 records, 41 records at the last one?
There we go. Yep.
Yep. And so it's keeping up to date. So if I do a 68 and 69, all right, cool. And if I run this again, I got new records. So anytime that you have a change in your source database, downstream will pick up those changes, and then we're running a function in between that. So it's pretty cool, right?
That is.
All right.
So you got to do the anonymizer through.
Yep. It's running through the anonymizer. So literally this function can be anything that you want, right? You can enrich records, you can do anything that you want. But what I'm going to do basically is show, again, the Kappa architecture, right? So I need to get this to go to S3. And so let me go ahead and do that. So all I want really is my raw records, that collection of raw records to be dumped into S3. I'm not going to process it with anything, right? Because let's just say I want to go use this for compliance or like my audit log or something like that, right? And so what I get to do is I'm just going to copy this, show you how easy this is. And I'm just going to say desk2 is equal to, I believe it's data lake, if I'm not mistaken. And I am going to just take this one and I'm going to copy this and I'm going to say desk2.write and I'll just say DL, STL.DL, and it should take my raw records. This is basically just a collection I'm getting from the Turbine demo. And then basically what I have to do now, this is something that we're working on just to make it a little cleaner experience. But let me just remove that. And then I'm just going to get add, get commit -am, and I'll just put data lake in here. Cool. And then now I can just do a Maroxa apps deploy. And demo gods, please be kind one more time to me. And so what should happen here is that once we get this going, basically any change to the Postgres database will get reflected in both S3, where the records will be, kind of raw records. And then again, it'll still keep up with the anonymized records with the function inside of Redshift. Cool. So let me venture over to S3. And that is an old bucket. And basically what this does is it gives you just one line gzip. I'll show you what it looks like so I can buy some time. It gives you one line gzip thing. So you can put, Presto or Athena on top of this. We actually have a guide that shows you how to do this. But yeah, this is kind of what it looks like. So hopefully I've wasted enough of your time. And this is actually gonna work now. Come on, come on, S3. It takes a second. So, how's the weather down there in St. Louis?
It's beautiful today. Yeah.
Good.
That just means it'll probably be snowing tomorrow or something. I don't know. It's kind of crazy here.
Yeah. Actually, let me go and
So
check that
now,
local.
so all these, so you have that registry. So do you have like some sort of an ecosystem where I guess if somebody creates some proprietary, I don't know, database or whatever, that would you see them contributing like a, for lack of a better term, a driver or something to the registry, or
I
would
am glad
somebody
that
from
you asked.
Araxa do that?
Both. So
Okay.
here's the cool thing that we have now is that we have a connector SDK. So Conduit, essentially what we did
Okay.
was that we wrote a Kafka Connect replacement in Golang.
Okay.
And then you can write connectors in Golang. It's pretty easy and simple to do. All you have to do is just basically just kind of copy. We got like the S3 one, we got a Postgres one, but also too, you can actually we're going to have the ability for you to bring your own existing Kafka connectors as well. So we can run in both modes, whether it's Conduit on our side as well as Kafka Connect as well.
Okay.
Because the cool thing with Conduit, essentially we've embedded a JVM runtime. It's like you can embed your own plugins, and a runtime can be a plugin. And so we did one for the JVM, and so now you can basically run Kafka Connect connectors on Conduit. So which is super cool for us to do. But yeah, if people want to learn how to do that, it's free. Like this is what we use for data integration. Comes with the UI, comes with the CLI and all that type of stuff, but it's written in Go. And
Okay.
so if somebody wants to build their own connector, they can do that using Conduit or
Cool.
bring their own Kafka Connect, existing Kafka Connect connector. All
Cool.
right. I think I wasted enough time.
We
Got
got it. Okay.
SDL,
Cool.
DL. All right, and it basically did a full backup of what we're doing. And so now what I can do is, if I want to, again, sorry, let me go back to Table Plus. If I want to, just add a another one, 7071, it will get reflected not only in run this, not only reflected in Redshift, but it'll also get reflected over in S3. So here it is. I believe it's coming.
So now from that Postgres source, is that actually, I know you mentioned it before, but is that you actually using Debezium underneath the covers to actually
Well,
listen for the changes?
Well, it depends. This one, yes, but it usually depends. Like we don't make a user choice, make that choice. We figure it out for them, right?
Uh-huh.
And so, we can do Debezium, we can do straight up JDBC, right? Like there's a couple of different ways that we can actually get the data out, and that's something that I think is pretty cool for us to do. Let me make sure. Yep, 45.
Cool.
And so yeah, now we got up to date records there. And if I go back to this one, or Jesus, there should be another. Is it 436 bytes? Man, S3 is not happy today. Okay, cool. Now it has a new record. So again, it's just keeping this stuff in sync in real time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's the demo from a. I'm not a full-time Go developer, but I mean, at the end of the day, man, if people could do this that easily, right, and it's just me, imagine what in more capable hands what this can be, right? And that's really what the power of Turbine is for us, right? And I think it's super cool.
Yeah, no, that is cool because yeah, like I said, I've been a kind of a messaging geek already for quite a long time, and then yeah, I've had to mess with things like Debezium and Kafka Connect and all that stuff, and yeah, it's not for the faint of heart,
Yeah,
typically. So yeah, anything that removes that or simplifies it, so you can just focus on what you need to focus on. That's yeah, that's all the better.
yeah. I mean, that's really what our whole thing is like notice in that whole entire spiel, and unless I was telling you what was going behind the hood, underneath the hood, like you didn't have to worry about Debezium, Kafka,
Yeah.
Kafka Connect,
Yeah.
Zookeeper,
Yeah.
Airflow, Docker, Kubernetes, Spark, any of
Yeah.
that, right? Like it's literally I write the code, I hit Marasa apps deploy, and then basically our method calls turn into infrastructure orchestration calls. And so basically we're just taking the data and orchestrating it on top of our platform. So that again, all you got to do is just write code, right? Like you do that all the time. I write code, check it in GitHub, do a pull request, people review it, then I run through CI/CD, and then it just gets deployed. And that's really what it should be. Instead of like, shit, I need to do basically grab all purchases that are over a certain dollar amount and put that into a dashboard, so that way I can do X, Y, Z. And it's like, yeah, now I got to worry about, oh man, I got to write, either go the Debezium route. I got to, introduce Kafka to my infrastructure. I got to do all this stuff. And it's just like, why? Right?
Yeah.
Like you spend more time kind of, cobbling together integrations versus actually just writing the code. And that's really what we want to get people back to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely makes a big difference. And then I was gonna ask too, and hopefully that doesn't make a but like Oracle. Oracle databases, the database that everybody loves to hate because of the licensing and all that. But I know in a past life, working with Oracle databases and that, the replication brought up all kinds of licensing issues and that because they don't want to be able to have, people doing the replication with something like Debezium,
Yep.
and what is it, Log Miner or something like that, or
Yeah. Or
Golden
gold.
Gate maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's what I was going to ask. Do you guys have support in there for Oracle for folks that
We
are
do.
already licensing that?
Yeah. We have support for Oracle as a source. So if you want to pull data
Hmm.
out of Oracle into other things, we have that available for
Right.
you. We have over 30 vendors as connectors. So it's usual suspects, and then we got SaaS apps like Salesforce, Marketo, Shopify, think Stripe, Zendesk, some others, but pretty much every major database, every major data warehouse, every data lake that you can think of, and some of the SaaS stuff, and we're adding support for things all the time.
Cool.
I mean, so that's really for us is like but the other part of it is you don't really even need that really
Uh,
because it's just code. So, I can write a function that basically runs on an interval and pulls from an API. And then I can use that to go into something else if I want to. So like, there's connectors for things, but then also too, it's just code. So you can literally do what it is that you want to. And you don't have to snap into like, oh, what's the Moroxa way of doing it? It's like, no, it's just code. So
hmm,
just write code and it'll be okay.
nice. Yeah. How about like things like so sticking on the Kafka thing. So like I know you had those were JSON payloads. What about like things with Avro where you have
Yep.
a separate schema registry of sorts for the Avro payloads,
Yep.
that type of a thing. So, I mean, would that be something that you'd have to hook into the client or your code, like
Yep.
what we had with that anonymizer, where you would do the call off to a schema registry to say, "Give me the schema."
Now let me actually show you again. Let me get back to screen share. We share screen. Let me share a window, and I can share my Visual Studio Code. So,
There you go.
essentially, when you pull up uh, I think this is it. This basically creates a connector. So I can basically create, it's just Kafka underneath the hood, right?
Hmm.
Or like Kafka Connect, or even if it's Turbine, we snap to the config of basically like Kafka Connect, right?
Hmm.
And so inside of one of those connectors, you have the ability to, I think it's like CFG, and then you can do like output formats there, output.format, and then you can decide whatever that format that you want it to be at that point.
Gotcha.
I think it was
Okay.
L. Yeah. So yeah, you see right here, it says CFG Turbine resource configs right here. Essentially, you can just pass in a key value of configs, and then whatever it is for that connector, there's like options for it, right? And so if the options for that source is an output format, then you can do Parquet or Avro or Arrow if you want to. But that's all configured in code. You don't have to write a specific function for that.
Gotcha. Oh, very cool.
Yep.
All right, let's see. Oh no, folks were unusually quiet.
Oh, good. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
maybe they were just like, "Holy shit, this is the most amazing thing ever. Let me run back to my company and use it."
Right,
So
right.
yeah. I mean, the cool thing is like we have a generous free program. So you go to Maroxa.com, you sign up. You know, we give you I think a million events for free. We give you like 100 compute minutes or something like that, or I think it's minutes. And we charge by the millisecond. And you know, you know, it's pretty standard. And it's just like once you exhaust that, the meter starts running essentially.
Ah,
But then we also can do, you know, kind of dedicated infrastructure because the free stuff is on the shared tier. We can deploy inside of your network boundary. We can go fully on prem, and so
okay.
that's one of the things too. Oh, that was in the Maroxa like slides that I had. But basically, the way that we work is Debezium, Kafka, Conduit, and then a schema registry, and then so essentially Maroxa is a layer that sits on top of that. So our control plane is our proprietary software that does all the automation and optimization. Our data plane is all open source and will be open source components, right? And so we give you the keys to it. And it's like, yo, if I really need to change my retention window, all right, cool, go ahead and do that. It's just Kafka underneath the hood. Oh, I need to you know handle back pressure a little bit better, retries. Okay, cool, you can go ahead and do that. Right, like that's one of the things that you know we wanted to be flexible about, given our time at Heroku where everything was a black box. Right, you
Yeah.
had no clue as to what was going on. Like we just said, like, yo, we're not going to do that. And so, yeah, we just sit on top of your existing data infrastructure. You don't have to rip and replace anything. You give us credentials, and then basically you have a single UX layer, whether that's dashboard, CLI, Terraform, or Turbine, to control your data infrastructure. And then we make it real time, which is also the coolest thing ever, right? Like you don't have to do everything in an invented format. You can just take that granularity of real time data that you have and put it somewhere, and then you can do you know your analysis after the fact or whatever. Or, as you saw in the application, it's really easy to do the Kappa architecture because at the end of the day, all we're doing is taking your data sources and turning them into Kafka topics and managing them better for you. So,
Nice. All right. Well, the gallery remains quiet. So
it's all
well,
good, man.
all right. Well, let me pop this. Now this time I'm going to remember to share my screen now. So yeah, hell, I'm all disappointed. That was terrible with me.
It's all good. It's all good.
Say it was we'll blame the Lone Star, but nah. Cool. All right. Well then, I guess we'll go ahead and start the wrapping it up here. And if anybody does think of something here in the last minute, just please do definitely go ahead and pop up there. So thank you again. And yeah, so upcoming things, you know, GopherCon's coming up here in September, the 26th through the 28th. I'll be there. I don't know. Devaris, you going there?
Yeah, members of my team will be there.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. You guys going to have like a booth set up or anything like that?
Yeah, we'll do a booth. We'll probably, if we don't do just a booth, we'll probably throw a cool party too. So, you
Yeah.
know, engage with the community.
There we go. Sounds good. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully some other folks from the meetup are able to go. It is from what I understand, it's going to be a fully vaccinated event. So you know, they just want people that are vaccinated. They do have let's see, what is it? I got my notes here. So self-paid to attend, just the conference alone, obviously, is $795, and then for corporate, it's $1,095. And then also, if for some reason you can't make it, or the vaccination status or whatever is an issue, online attendance is $50. So that makes it pretty reasonable. Again, please don't isolate alone. We're available on the STL Tech Slack for the area and the Go channel, and then more globally, obviously, the Gopher Slack. So feel free to join up and become part of the community. And then with that, Tavares, I want to thank you once again. It's awesome having you. Really do appreciate it. We always love to have speakers join us and present us on things that we don't know about yet, or need to know better. And then, of course, definitely for anybody watching, let us know how we're doing. Reach out to any one of us on the steering committee. Let us know, or in the comments below, since this is going to be on the YouTubes. And of course, I always want to say, smash that like button and subscribe. So, then we plan to do some more videos and in that. So hopefully we'll be growing the channel a bit more. So please do subscribe, get all the good info. And our next meetup is going to be on scheduled for May 25th. So hopefully we'll see y'all again. And then, hopefully everybody stays safe and healthy, and we will see you later. So thanks again, Tavares. We'll talk to y'all later. All right. Bye-bye.